you revealed just last week on Squawk Box that you have sort of restructured the position. It now exists entirely in puts.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
So Herbalife's sort of an interesting situation where we've been entirely right on the facts, on the regulatory issues, on their ripping off consumers, on their misleading people.
Well, I mean,
but stick with
according to you, you've been right.
No. According to the FTC, the FTC's conclusions are precisely identical to what we said about the company.
Well, they didn't say the company was a pyramid scheme, Bill.
But the FTC said the company was tantamount to a pyramid scheme and forced them to fundamentally restructure their business. What we said was that would cause the company, that would have an impact on the company's fundamentals. And you saw that in the last quarter. U.S. business down 17%. Mexico down 9%. China down 3%. Declining in almost every market in the world. Top line down, 3 or 4%. The guidance for next year, $4.50 to or $4.60 to $5. This company earned about $4.50 in 2012 when we shorted the stock, or 2013 when we shorted the stock. So we've been entirely right on the fundamentals. But the stock has gone from 48 to today 66. By the way, it's not a terrible short in a bull market over the last 5 years, just to point that out. Now, what's held back? Why haven't we won as a short seller? The answer is the company's retired 30% of the outstanding shares, and Carl Icahn's bought 23% of the outstanding shares. And in the short term, or even the intermediate term, supply-demand makes a difference. And what Herbalife, the focus of all of investors were, Bill's got a big short position. He's going to be forced to cover. So the more we can push the stock price up, will make it inevitable he has to cover. And what we did is we converted our position from being short the stock to owning puts. So we're never going to be forced to cover anymore. And now the dynamic is all about the fundamentals of the company. And since we did that, the stock was 78, 79 when we did that conversion. Stock today is 66. Part of that is, one, investors realizing this is no longer about Bill being forced to cover, because we'll never be forced to cover. But two, it's now the focus is on the fundamentals. And as the fundamentals deteriorate, there's only so much stock they can buy back. They borrowed $1.5 billion to buy back stock. They spent half that money. They have $1.15 billion of maturities coming up in a year and a half. They have another $1.5 billion maturities coming back up in 2.5 years. So they're going to have a current obligation of $1.15 billion. If I were they, I wouldn't be spending all my available cash buying back stock. But my point is they're levering up. They're buying in shares. They're doing everything they can technically to drive the stock price up. At the end of the day, the fundamentals will rule. And because of all those share repurchases, there's a very small float in the stock. So it's as hard as it is to buy the stock, it's also that hard to sell the stock. And so if I were forced to cover, I could push the stock price up. I'm no longer forced to cover. If investors actually decide they want to sell because the fundamentals are bad, it's extremely difficult to sell without pushing the stock price down, which is why the stock has come down almost 16% in the last week or so.
There's a difference, you would admit, between a slowdown in the business, which may or may not be temporary. Neither one of us know because we're not running Herbalife, nor are we inside that business. But that's a far cry, isn't it, from the business being a fraud, as you said?
No, it's not a far cry at all. The reason why their business is struggling is there isn't fundamental demand for the product, and they have to hoodwink people in order to buy it. No consumer packaged good company has their sales go up dramatically and then fall dramatically in every market they enter, which is the behavior of this company over time.
So you're never going to change your...
I only change my views when if the facts change. The facts have been 100% confirmatory in that situation, and I think it will turn into a nice investment for us after a very long period of time.
Is this the first or final step in you throwing in the towel? If these puts...
By the way, there's no throwing in the towel. So a few things. I've not thrown in the towel, but one thing is for sure, this is the last time I'm going to talk about this company. So I'm going to write a little letter to investors talking about just summarizing the facts. Now that it's become a relatively small position, I want us to step out of being the focus of the situation. I want all of the focus to be on the fundamentals of the company. So call this the last time I'm ever going to talk about it.
This is the last time ever talk about Herbalife on television.
Ever in my life. This is it. Done. There you go. The world was a better place.
Theoretically, the puts could expire and you just walk away quietly now.
That could happen. That could happen.
When are they dated?
That we don't disclose.